everyone, I am Assistant Professor Pranali Lokhandi from Lakshmi-Chand Golwala College of Commerce and Economics. Today we will be learning about demand forecasting and moving averages from the subject Logistics and Supply Chain Management for the course Tybms. Demand forecasting. What is demand forecasting? So demand forecasting is the process of making estimations about future customer demand over a defined period of time using historical data, means past data and other information. Now, how it helps the businesses? Proper demand forecasting helps the businesses get valuable information about their potential in their current market and other markets, so that the managers can make informed decisions about pricing, business growth strategies and market potentials. Without demand forecasting, a business can risk making poor decisions about their products and target markets, and one wrong decisions can have far-reaching negative effects on inventory holding cost, customer satisfaction, supply chain management and profitability. Now that we have seen why demand forecasting is important, let us take a look at the nature of demand. Demand can be of two types: dependent demand and independent demand. Dependent demand is the result of vertical supply chain. So the demand of one product will depend on the demand of other product, or the sales of one product will depend upon the sales of the other product. For example, the sale of tires will depend upon the sales of the cars, or we can also say the demand of tires will depend upon the demand of cars. Now, in dependent demand also we have vertical dependence and horizontal dependence. Vertical dependence is the type of dependence that constitutes raw materials or consumables that is required to produce one product. For example, airbags, navigation systems, the glasses, the window glasses, the cover seats in the car, they are all raw materials that are required to make one car. So it will be a part of vertical dependence, and their sale and their demand is totally dependent upon the sales and demand of the car. Now, what is horizontal dependence? In horizontal dependence, the products are not raw materials or consumables. They have their own salability, yet their demand depends on the other product. For example, the demand of a printer will depend upon the demand of a computer. Although these two products are very different, they have their own salabilities, and printers are not raw materials that are required to make a computer, yet the printer's demand will depend upon the computers. Forecasting approaches. There are two forecasting approaches. The first one is top-down approach and the second one is bottom-up approach. The top-down approach can also be called as centralized approach, and the bottom-up approach can also be called as decentralized approach. Now, in top-down approach, the forecasting decision is made at one place, that is at the national level. The forecasting number, the forecast of the demand, the forecast of a product is made at a national level, and on the basis of the past data available to the company, they will split this one national level demand into multiple regions. For example, let's assume that in the last year, North region sold 30% of the total goods, South region sold, let's say, 40%, Western region sold 30%, and let's assume the Eastern region sold 10 to 20%. So based on that past historical data, the national level forecast, let's assume at the national level the forecast was 1 lakh units. So on the basis of last year's data, this 1 lakh unit will be divided into different regions based on how much quantity they sold or what was the demand last year or in the last period, whatever they are considering. So it is centralized because the decision is being taken at only one place, and that is at the national level. Now in the bottom up approach, the decision is being taken individually from all the different regions. The southern region will have their own individual forecast, the northern region will have their own individual forecast, and the same goes with the western and eastern region. These all forecasts are then collected and taken at the national level, and then at the national level they, according to the data collected from all the regions, they arrive at one forecasting number. So bottom-up approach is decentralized approach because the decision is being taken from different regions and not at one place. Let's look at some of the case studies. We all know the popular. Let's take a look at different case studies. We all know the popular Zara brand. It's a clothing brand that we see in all the malls. So Zara uses a just-in-time production approach, which means they design, manufacture, distribute and sell clothes within just 2-week period of time. So they keep a large amount of production in-house so that they can sell and can be more flexible in their production cycle and have a more control on their supply chain and manufacturing process than their competitors. So how do they manage such an efficient production cycle? So sales and customer feedback data is sent back to Zara designer as soon as it is received so that the adjustments can be made quickly in the line with customer demand. Zara also have extra labor capacity at all times so that they can meet demand as it shifts, supporting the company's lean inventory management and approach. The next one is Nike, again a very popular brand. So in 2001, Nike installed demand planning software without adequate testing, which resulted in overstock of low-selling shoes and not enough stock of their popular seller Air Jordans. This ended up costing Nike $100 million worth of sales. In this case, Nike lost out by trying to implement a new technology, a new system too quickly without testing it first. While demand and forecasting technology is essential for predicting sales and managing inventory, any new system should go through rigorous testing before being rolled out. After forecasting approaches, we have forecasting components. Let's start from seasonal factors. Not all the products have equal level of demand throughout the year. Some products may have different product level at different month or different period of the time or different seasons of the year. It can be an upward or downward movement in the demand pattern. For example, demand for blankets is at peak during winter months and lowest during the summers. Also, demand for AC is at peak during the summers and low during the winters. The same goes for your raincoat, the same goes for your umbrellas, the same goes for let's say school shoes, school bags. They have a particular set of season where the demand is observed to be highest and lowest when it is not in season. So this seasonality refers to the seasonality that we discussed is at consumer retail. The seasonality that we discussed is at consumer retail level. The seasonality precedes the demand at consumer level by 1 quarter. So let's assume if we are forecasting that the demand for blankets will be at peak during November first week at the retail level, that is at the customer level, then it will precede the demand for manufacturers by 1 quarter. By 1 quarter means by 3 months. So let's assume if the demand is going to be at peak in November, we can safely say that at the manufacturing level, the manufacturing will be at peak before 3 months, that is it's October, September and August. For example, August is going on right now. So the demand will, these blanket manufacturers have already started preparing for their peak sale for the winters, that is in the November. The next one is the trend component. So trend component can be a positive trend, a negative trend or a neutral trend. Positive trend will indicate a high level of sales. A negative trend will indicate a low level of sales. So this trend direction may change over the time in a given year. For example, in fashion, trends are always there. So right now if we see the old trends are coming back, of those parallel jeans and those bootcut jeans and those flared jeans, and the trend of skinny jeans is going away. The same can be said for certain colors and certain prints in the fashion industry. So these trends, the demand of such product will depend on what the trend is going on currently in the market right now. The next one is cyclic factors. Cyclic factors are related to the business cycles that are taking place. It can be either upward or it can be downward. So traditionally, the economies swing from recession to expansion every 3 to 5 years. During recession, when there is low demand and low production, we can see that the interest rate goes down to stimulate the economy. The most affected products by the changes in the interest rates are your housing and your automobiles. So whenever the interest rates are going down, the demand for houses and new flats go up. Again, whenever the interest rate for loan goes down, the demand for automobiles, cars, or bikes goes up. So this is how cyclic factors affect the demand of a product. The next one is promotional component. Now promotional component, whenever we are promoting a certain item or certain products, we can observe that there is growth in demand. This is not because of any trend or season, but this is just because of the company's promotional activities. The sales are found to be increasing whenever a company is offering some promotional activities like discounts or extra customer service, etc. And these promotional components stimulate the demand of a product. For example, during Diwali or during any major festivals, we see many big online shopping websites like your Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra having different promotional activities to increase the demand. In promotional component, the firm has the control of timing and volume of sales because they are the one who are deciding how much to produce, what discount to offer to the consumer. Then we have irregularities. Irregularities are random or unpredictable events that have a positive or negative impact on the products. For example, in this pandemic, we can call it an irregularities. Nobody predicted that a pandemic is going to come, and that it would have impact on businesses. We saw some products had a positive impact and some products had a negative impact. For example, the FMCG products, your hand washes, sanitizers had a positive impact. The demand for Dettol, the demand for sanitizers, hand washes, soaps went very high during the pandemic. Whereas the demand for, let's say, transport went very down because nobody was allowed to go outside because the entire world was in lockdown. Then the demand for the airline industry went down. The demand for new clothes went down because people were not going out. And now we will go back to the base demand. So base demand is the quantity that is left after eliminating all the other components. It is a long-term demand, forecasting demand. It is a forecast based on average demand over a long period of time. So it is base demand is the quantity that is left after eliminating, that is left after the effects, that is left base demand is the forecast based on average demand over a long period of time. So it is the quantity that is left after eliminating all the other forecasting components, after eliminating the seasonal factors, the trends, the cyclical factors, promotional components and irregularities. So after eliminating all these components, the forecasting number, the number that we get is our base demand. There can be certain products for which there is no cycle or no trend or no seasonal factors that are affecting such products. So for such product, base demand is going to be the same throughout the year. For example, your medicines, just because a company is offering some discount, you are not going to consume more medicines than you need. Like your basic food, like your wheat, rice, bajra, just because wheat is cheap, you are not going to start eating 10 chapatis at a time. So such products have a very stable forecast over a long period of time. It is important. There are a number of reasons why demand forecasting is an important process for every business. The first one is sales forecasting helps with business planning, budgeting and goal setting. Once you have a good understanding of what your future sales could look like, you can begin to develop an informed procurement strategy to make sure your supply matches the customer demand. It allows business to more effectively optimize the inventory, increase inventory turnover rates and reduce the holding cost. It provides an insight into upcoming cash flow, meaning businesses can more accurately budget to pay suppliers and other operational costs and invest in the growth of the business. Through sales forecasting, you can also identify and rectify any kinks in the sales pipeline ahead of time to ensure your business performance remains robust throughout the entire period. When it comes to inventory management, most e-commerce business owners know all too well that too little or too much inventory can be detrimental to the operations. Anticipating demand means knowing when to increase the staff and other resources to keep operations running smoothly even during the peak periods. Did you know that last year global e-commerce sales crossed 4.2 trillion US dollars and are expected to rise to 5.4 trillion US dollars by next year. To stay relevant in a market this big and to cater to the increasing demand, it is important to understand how to properly forecast your supply chain. Keeping your supply chain To stay relevant in a market this big and to cater to the increasing demand, it is important to understand how to properly forecast your supply chain. Keeping your supply chain on track results in stronger business relationships, better customer experience, and more capital to scale your business. However, forecasting your supply accurately based on your historical data means your past data can be difficult at times. As a result, we may end up feeling worried and underprepared for what's coming our way. This is why it is important to know about forecasting techniques. In this lesson, we are going to focus on moving averages of time series analysis. What is time series analysis? When historical data is available for a product or product line and trends are clear, businesses tend to use the time series analysis approach for demand forecasting. A time series analysis is useful for identifying seasonal fluctuations in demand, cyclical patterns, and key sales trends. The time series analysis approach is most effectively used by well-established business who have several years worth of data to work from and relatively stable trend patterns. Time series forecasting is a technique for the prediction of events through a sequence of time. It predicts future events by analyzing the trends of the past on the assumption that future trends will hold similar to the historical trends. Time series forecasting starts with a historical time series, that is, your past data. Analysts examine this past data and check for patterns such as trends, seasonal patterns, cyclic patterns, regularities, etc. Many areas within organization, including marketing, finance, and sales, use some form of time series forecasting to evaluate probable technical cost and consumer demand. Models for time series data can have many forms, and one such form is moving averages. A moving average is a technique that calculates the overall trend in a data set. Now, what is a data set? In operations management, the data set is the sales volume from historical data of the company, which means the past data of the company. This technique is very useful for forecasting short-term trends. It is simply the average of a select set of time periods. It is called moving because as a new number is added or calculated for an upcoming time period, the oldest number is removed from the data set. Before going towards the examples, let's look at the formula of moving averages. It is quite simple. F is equal to S upon N, where your F is moving average forecast for period, S is equal to sales for time period, N is equal to total number of time periods. Now your time periods can be anything from your, it can be your years, months, weeks, quarters, days, etc. Let's look at example number 1. From the following data, calculate a 3-period moving average from 4th month to 8th month. Now what is a 3-period moving average? So 3-period moving average is nothing but the average of last 3 periods of the data that is available. So in this example, it is asking us to calculate the 3-period moving average from the 4th month. Since in this example, it is asking us to calculate the 3-period moving averages from the 4th month. Example number 1. From the following data, calculate a 3-period moving average from 4th month to 8th month. What is a 3-period moving average? It is nothing but the average of last 3 periods. Now again, your periods could be anything. Your time period could be anything. Your month, year, days, week, etc. It is asking us, in this example, it is asking us to calculate the moving average from 4th month to 8th month. Why is it not asking us to calculate from first month or second month or third month? Because to calculate 3-period moving averages, we need past data or historical data of at least last 3 months or last 3 weeks. In this example, 3 months. In the third month, we don't have last 3 months data. Same with the first month and the second month. So we have last 3 months data from the 4th month onwards. Hence, we are going to calculate moving averages from 4th month to 8th month. So this is how we calculate. Again, since we do not have the last 3 months data for 3rd month, 2nd month and your 1st month, so we are going to start calculating from the 4th month. As I said, 3-period moving average is nothing but the average of the last 3 months. So for the 4th month, we will add 3rd month's data, demand in units, 2nd month's demand in units and 1st month's demand in units, which is 145 plus 130 plus 120, the entire divided by 3. Why 3? Because we are calculating 3-period moving average. If it was 4-period moving average, we would divide the entire thing by 4 and we would calculate 4 months average. If it was 5 months moving average, then we would require past data of 5 months and we would divide the entire sum by 5. Since it is 3-period moving average, we are dividing it by 3. So for the 4th month, when we average 3 months data, we get 131.67 units. So this is the demand forecast. For 5th month, again we are going to add the 4th month's data, 3rd month's data and 2nd month's data and divide it by 3. For 6th month, again 5th month, 4th month, 3rd month. For 7th month, again 6th, 5th and 4th month's data. And for 8th month, we will require 7th month, 6th month and 5th month's data, which is 200 plus 190 plus 170 divided by 3. So we get demand forecast for the 8th month is 186.67 units. But in real world, we cannot produce units in points, in decimal points. For example, if I am a car manufacturing company, I cannot manufacture a car. I cannot manufacture 0.67 cars. I cannot manufacture 0.5 cars. I can manufacture 186 cars or 187 cars. I hope it was all clear how to calculate 3-period moving averages. Thank you.